Did you catch it? All right. Every day, about 20 veterans die by suicide. And at the same time, more than 1,000 rescue dogs face euthanasia. The nonprofit K9s For Warriors exists to change both of those realities. They pair veterans dealing with PTSD, traumatic brain injury, or military sexual trauma with trained service dogs at no cost. Backed by scientific research, this program empowers the men and women who fought for our freedom to reclaim their lives, restoring confidence and independence. Joining us to share how this program changed his life is Navy veteran Chris Luna and his service dog, Astro. And if Astro could talk, she would also say you changed her life as well. Good morning. And first off, thank you very much for your service.
Thank you for your support.
All right. So let's go back through your life. After high school, you're out. You have some decisions to make. What made you decide to go into the military and in particular the Navy?
Well, really, I mean, I'm from a small town in Oklahoma. We were kind of poor. Didn't really have money for college. Didn't really get all the full scholarships for athletics as well. So you want to get readjusted? So we decided to just go in the military. I decided to go in the Navy because I was actually going to go into physical therapy, and I wanted to go work for Lou Holtz as a physical therapist at Notre Dame. That's what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
And obviously that didn't work out.
Yeah, all right, but something else did, and what a story. So
yes, ma'am.
You leave that small town. As I always say, you join the military, you go see the world. You know, so many young men and women have done that. What was your first deployment, and what was that like for you?
Well, first deployment, non-combat, was a UDP to Okinawa, Japan, but my first combat deployment was to Iraq. That one was a lot easier than Afghanistan.
Mm-hmm.
Iraq was a little bit easier. I flew around a little bit, really supporting some of my other guys, and I wasn't out on combat missions as much. I was really supporting my guys that were out on more of the combat missions, and I was kind of supporting those guys.
Yeah, but you completed over 100 combat missions, always on high alert. You were in hostile territory,
yes.
And all those things all along, you may not have realized at the time, but all those things were kind of banking themselves somewhere in your psyche.
Yes, ma'am.
All right.
Yeah.
There comes the moment where you are leaving the military, and we were sharing in the green room. I've shared this many, many times. I remember when my dad, after 35 years, was transitioning into civilian life, and it was hard for him. He was still the same person. You know, he's still good guy, good skills, and the whole bit. But it was hard to transition out. What was that transitioning to civilian life like for you?
So transitioning out was very difficult. You know, you don't have the support structure. You don't have the same like-minded people that you had, that you're surrounded with day in and day out. You get a little bit of depression. You know, my anxiety's up, my hypervigilance is up, because again, I'm not surrounded by the same like-minded people. Yeah. And it just, life was...
Oh, look, she's so sweet.
Yeah.
It's a make-out session right now.
Yeah, she could tell I'm uncomfortable. She could tell I'm uncomfortable, and that's one of the great things.
Well, that's a cool thing. Yeah,
it is.
She really is very, very in tune with you.
Yes, and that's a great thing. Is, you know, this is definitely unscripted, and that's the great thing about what K9s For Warriors has done for us. Is, in a sense, they hit a grand slam with pairing Astro and I, because she is so in tune with me that she can tell that I'm uncomfortable, that she's coming up to greet me and relax me and kind of calm me down.
Yeah.
Yes, good girl.
At what point did you realize kind of your past was catching up with you? And it was just a very simple thing. We were driving with your family down the road, and something happened.
So the first time that I realized I had a problem was, so we were heading out to dinner, and I was with my family, and there was just something that was just caught my eye on the side of the road. And of course, I was never a driver in Iraq or Afghanistan or anything, but I'd been, over 100 combat missions. We were always searching on things as we were traveling throughout the different missions.
Looking for explosives on the road.
Looking for explosives. And something just caught my eye, and, later it played mind games with me, like, well, what if I had jerked the wheel?
Yeah.
And so of course that led to a lot of drinking. It led to a lot of second guessing. It led to just a lot of
paranoia and all of that. And then during COVID, it was all heightened because, a thing that a lot of us may have taken for granted, when you wear a mask on your face, it brought back some other memories for you.
Yeah, so that's the second time, and now I've transitioned out of the military. Yeah. And when COVID hit, you've got people that are supposed to be 6 feet away, their faces are covered, and now they're violating my personal space. So I would always find myself with my hand on my pistol, just ready to kind of take matters into my own hands, because yes, when we were out there and we were dealing with massive amounts of people, a lot of times that's what these people would do, is they would come up and try to either detonate a suicide vest or something like that. So I was always hyper vigilant and just afraid somebody's.
And you mentioned earlier that you were drinking a lot. As we know, so many people will self-medicate by doing that.
Yes.
Little did you know your medication would come in a form of a canine, but you had a friend who had a service dog from K9s For Warriors, and you couldn't help but notice what a special bond he had with his dog.
Yes. So a great buddy of mine who also rides motorcycles, because that's what I did whenever I met him. I still do. But he was a combat vet, and I'd heard his story. He went through K9s For Warriors, because I've seen a lot of other programs out there that have service dogs, but K9s For Warriors is the only one that I have seen that has been proven to work. And so he invited me out to dinner with him one time, and I sat down with him and his family, and he shared his story, and I saw how much it impacted him. And so I kind of took the gamble and said, you know what, maybe this is something that I need.
Yeah,
and
take us through the process and how you first met Astro.
So the process is, it's a little lengthy process. You know, you have to apply because they have to
No
go
pun
through,
intended, they have to vet you, right?
Yeah, they do. They have to vet you, see that there's needs. And so what they do is they train service dogs for military veterans with post-traumatic stress disorder, traumatic brain injury, and military sexual trauma. And throughout the application, you have to go through the VA. The VA has to fill out their stuff. And then once you get accepted into the program, and so at the time, whenever I first went through, it was about a 4-year wait list. But thanks to all the donors, and whether it's time, money, whatever the case, they opened up another campus in Texas outside of San Antonio and Helotes that had cut the wait list from 4 years down to about 2 years.
Wow. Okay.
And through this process, K9s For Warriors and their team behind the scenes, they're trying to see what dogs they have available and then my needs.
Yeah, because they learn about you, they learn about your lifestyle, so they can make this the perfect pairing. And so they decide they have a dog for you, when you got the news, and then you went to go meet Astro. Tell us about that first meeting.
So you go out there, you show up at their campus, and then they call it dog day or pairing day. And so your back's turned, and then they come out and they bring your dog, and then you turn around. And it's kind of unnerving, because you're like, well, what if, I didn't know if it was a he or she at the time, but what if they don't like me? But no, it was kind of cool, because she was a little hesitant at first, but then she came up to me, and then they just tell you to go to your room and go start bonding with your dog. And that's what we did. And ever since then, it's just been nothing short of a freaking miracle. Aww. And she's been life-changing. For some veterans, I would say it's life-saving. I don't think I ever went down the road of suicidal thoughts, so I don't think it was life-saving for me, but she has definitely been life-changing for me.
Yeah, and the name Astro, of course, you know, here in Houston, we would say Astros, right?
Yes.
But sponsored by an Astros pitcher.
Correct. So Lance McCullers from the Houston Astros, he has sponsored her, named her Astro after the 22 championship
series. And we know
series.
Lance loves pets. He loves dogs.
He does. Yeah. This is the second dog that he's actually sponsored through K9s For Warriors. But this time, apparently, he wanted to find a Houston veteran, since he was going to name the dog Astro.
Yeah. So what did Astro do for you from the get-go? Like, just when you woke up the next morning?
So it's kind of crazy. So at first, when we were there on campus, she would just do circles, and you would just hear her pitter-patter on the floor. And I'm thinking, oh my goodness, this is like having an infant that I'm going to have to potty train and take out. And so I'd get up, I'd take her out, and this was going on, and I'm just like, at first I was like, I don't know what I got myself into.
Yeah.
But then we got home. So I went through class October to November. And then we get home, and I didn't realize it. But come January 1st, she barked. And so I can count, we've been together so we graduated in 2023, so we're going on 3 years. I can count on one hand how many times she's barked. But this particular night, she barked. And I looked down at her, and she's just intently staring at me, and she's not budging. So I asked her, do you want to go outside? And she doesn't budge. And anytime I say, do you want to go outside, she knows that's to play ball, and so we go. But long story, see play ball, and she's starting to look at me.
Right.
But long story short, what I figured out is her bond is so strong with me that she realized that I was having a nightmare. And normally she'll come up and she'll nudge. something hanging off the bed, whether it's my arm, my foot, or whatever, and that's how she would wake me up. And I realized all that time she was doing circles, she was waking me up, not to go out to the bathroom, but she could sense that I was having nightmares. And she was waking me up to get me to go outside, to break me of my nightmares. And apparently this night I was in such an intense nightmare, probably because of the fireworks, that she had to bark to wake me up. And so now the residual effect is my sleep tremendously gone up, which starts my day off in a very positive aspect, which makes, like, coming down here today, driving through traffic, I'm in a good mood, right? I mean,
so with that said, what do you say to a lot of veterans? Because sometimes it's easy to find yourself in a spiral and to almost find comfort in that downward spiral. What do you say to veterans to say, no, there's more for you in life than that? Let's pull you out of that spiral.
So the biggest thing I'll say is, one, especially if you're an alpha male, let's just face it, alpha males, it's hard to ask for help. Number one thing is you have to ask for help. And is this a miracle cure? No, but is it a step, a tool to get you going in the right direction, to get you moving, to get you to put the bottle down, to get you to stop taking medication, to get you in a mindset that's gonna get you moving in the right direction? Absolutely, it's a tool to get you going.
You have more service, if not even to yourself, to give in life.
Correct.
Thank you so much for sharing your story with us. And Astro, thank you for coming. Oh my gosh, if my dog was just like you. All right, to learn more about K9s For Warriors, the application process, or how you can help support their program, visit K9sforwarriors.org.